Good morning children and welcome to our next video. Today we will learn about latitudes and longitudes. But before that, let's revise our basic knowledge about the earth. We know that the shape of the earth is like an orange, right? It bulges at the center and is slightly flattened at the poles. Poles are the end points of the earth. As you can see here, the northernmost part is called the North Pole and the southernmost part is called the South Pole. Now we will discuss about the imaginary lines of the earth. We all know that our earth is so big that it is impossible for us to see all the places of the entire earth on a flat piece of paper, right? So the geographers made a globe and drawn some imaginary lines on it. Now let me tell you that these imaginary lines does not exist physically on the earth. These are just imagined and made so that we can find places easily. It is believed that the earth rotates or moves around its own axis. Now what is an axis? Axis is an imaginary straight line that runs through the poles, and around this straight line the earth keeps on moving. Children, do you know there are some more imaginary lines drawn on the globe? Look at this globe. There are some horizontal lines and some vertical lines. These horizontal lines are called latitudes and the vertical lines are called longitudes. One more important thing is that among these latitudes, the main or the central latitude is the equator, while the central longitude is called the prime meridian. Now, we are going to discuss about locating places on a globe. As we know that the earth's surface is vast, so to help us find places or to find the location of different places, some imaginary lines are drawn on a globe. Among these lines, there are two important lines drawn on the globe. One is the equator, which divides the earth into two equal halves. The other line is the prime meridian. It also divides the earth into two equal halves. But what is the difference between these two lines? That is, the equator divides the earth horizontally and the prime meridian divides the earth vertically. Here, let me tell you that the horizontal lines are those lines that encircle the earth in east-west direction, while vertical lines run from north to south. So, both the equator and the prime meridian divides the earth into two equal parts. Now, let's see what these important parts are. So, this is the equator. This is the North Pole and this is the South Pole. When the equator divides the earth, we get the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. At the top of the northern hemisphere is the North Pole, while at the top of the southern hemisphere is the South Pole. In the same way, this line is the prime meridian. This is the North Pole and this is the South Pole. So when the prime meridian divides the earth, we get the western hemisphere and the eastern hemisphere. Thus, we got the four important parts of the earth: northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, western hemisphere and eastern hemisphere. Now let's learn more about the latitudes and the longitudes. Apart from the equator and the prime meridian, there are other imaginary lines drawn on the earth. Taking the equator as the base at 0 degree, some more lines are drawn on the earth's surface. As these lines are parallel to the equator, they are called the parallels of latitude. Here parallel means the lines which are drawn side by side with equal distance. So, how are latitudes measured? Latitudes are measured in degrees. As you can see here, the equator represents 0 degree, while the north and south poles are 90 degree north and 90 degree south. Starting from the equator, as we move forward towards both the sides, the numbers keep on increasing. Like 0 degree, 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree towards the northern hemisphere, and minus 30 degree, minus 60 degree, minus 90 degree towards the southern hemisphere. Just remember that the numbers in the northern hemisphere are positive, while the numbers in the southern hemisphere are negative. So, if we have 30 degree, that means it is in the northern hemisphere. And if we have minus 30 degree, that means it is in the southern hemisphere. We can also write this as 30 degree north and 30 degree south. So, this was about the latitudes. Now, let's learn about the longitudes. So, as you can see here, taking the prime meridian as the base at 0 degree, some more lines are drawn on the globe. These lines start from the poles and end at the poles, and these lines are called the longitudes. Just like the latitudes, longitudes are also measured in degrees. Starting from the prime meridian as 0 degree, the numbers increase towards the western side and the eastern side as 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree, 120 degree, 150 degree, and ends at 180 degree. Remember that the numbers from 0 degree to the eastern side are positive up to 180 degree, and the numbers from 0 degree to the western side are negative up to 180 degree. So, these numbers can also be written as 30 degree east, 60 degree east, 30 degree west, 60 degree west, and so on. Another important thing is that as all these longitudes are drawn taking the prime meridian as a base, so these longitudes are also known as meridians. The other name of prime meridian is the Greenwich meridian, as it passes through the Royal Astronomical Observatory in Greenwich near London. These latitudes and longitudes together makes a grid that covers the entire Earth's surface, and in every point of this grid is one location. So, whenever we want to find any location of a place or a person, we find it in this grid. The point where the latitude and the longitude of a particular place cut each other is the location of that place. So, this grid on the entire Earth's surface is used to find the location of different places. Let me show you an example. We know that the location of India is approximately 22 degree north and 79 degree east. Now, let's identify which one is latitude and which one is longitude. As latitudes are measured as north and south of the equator, so 22 degree north is the latitude, and as longitudes are measured as east and west of the prime meridian, so 79 degree east is the longitude. Now, I'll show you how can we locate India. Here, this is the line for 22 degree north and this is the line for 79 degree east. So, the point where both these lines cut each other will be the location of India. As we can see, both these lines are intersecting at this point. So, this is the location of India. Therefore, we have seen how latitudes and longitudes help us to find a particular location on the earth.